SimWorld presents Around the Table with E and the Fat Man.
What's up, everybody? It's me, it's the B.O.B., and I'm here with my man, E. How are you doing today?
Well, you know, I'm always happy to be doing a podcast with you over the weekend, Bob.
Absolutely. Every Sunday, we got to make sure we get it in. This is Around the Table with E and the Fat Man. That is E. I am the Fat Man. This is a podcast where we talk about pretty much whatever we want, mainly focused on SimWorld prep basketball, though. Today, we're going to have, I guess, a little bit of a more serious topic, talking about coaching changes and like the effects that it has on these kids. I feel like we've seen a real uptick of coaches jumping ship to find a different team. Maybe, well, we'll talk about the reasons that they may do that, but the effects that it has on those kids that they brought into their old teams. What do you think, E?
Well, the big thing I think is that, you know, look, if last off season, after the end of the ground zero season in SimWorld, was really the summer of player movement, where we didn't know what to expect. I don't necessarily know, and we saw players just, you know, leaving teams, signing up with new teams, in some cases actually moving from team to team in a few rare instances. And really, I think what we're seeing in this offseason, after the end of season one, is definitely the same thing, but it's happened really with the coaches. And it's taken me by surprise. I didn't think we were going to see as much coaching movement as we have. You know, in some ways, other than Tim Bellardi kicked off this whole thing kind of mid-season. When he unexpectedly stepped down from Gotham, now has ended up, you know, taking his coaching talents to the international game. But that just kind of opened up the floodgates, and everything from, you know, Coach of the Year Myron Murray leaving DMV to Coach Kusa heading back more towards his native Finland. Things have just really opened up out there.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the changes that we've seen, I'll say most, not all. I think when you look at like Coach Bellardi, Gotham 5, I mean, they were sliding a little bit, and the team clearly wasn't happy with the direction they were going. So that mutual, I guess we'll call it a mutual parting of ways at the time. I mean, I guess I kind of get that. I feel like it was a little too early for that change, but hey, record-wise, it worked out for Gotham 5. They didn't get the results that they wanted, so either way, I don't know. I still don't know how I feel about them getting rid of Coach Bellardi, but Latin America is going to hopefully prosper from that. It's the coaching changes that I don't have the talent, or there's not enough talent here for me to want to stick around and try and figure it out with this team. It's some of these coaches are so focused on winning and not developing the players that they really hurt the players that they've brought into their team. I mean, some of these kids who the coaches have recruited so hard, and these kids will commit to them, and then all of a sudden coach leaves because he's not happy with the way things are going with the team, or the personal reasons of they want to get closer to home. But now it leaves these kids stuck, and now they're unhappy. I mean, I seen what happened with the North. Just that was more of their coach just kind of disappeared on them and wasn't very engaging with them, and you've seen the emotional toll that it took on the team, and then how long it took for them to get a coach, because people didn't want to go to the North. At least that's what I assume. People didn't want to go to the North, whether because the weather, because it's too cold and it's not as fancy as Miami or California. But like, it really seemed like it started taking an emotional toll on the players of the North, which then we've seen a coaching and another coaching change where somebody left their team and left their players to go to just a different team because there was more talent. And I think what we don't look at enough is the toll that it takes on the kids. Yeah, kids are going to leave. They're going to move around. That's just going to happen. But as adults, I think sticking it out and building something where you started is I feel like there's a lot to that, a lot to build a legacy on. Jumping from team to me, I don't think you can really build a good legacy that way.
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying, and I agree with it. And look, I think that there are some different ways of looking at this too, or you can kind of take it on a case-by-case basis. Coach Kusa, you know, the man's a native of Finland, you know, over in Europe, next to Russia. It's a long way from St. Louis.
Yeah.
So I kind of get sort of some of his personal interest there, and love the fact, he still wants to part of the SimWorld game, right? And kind of coach and make a difference at this level. I love all of that. Totally kind of get what he's doing, stepping out, stepping away, maybe stepping a little bit closer to home that way. But I do think we're seeing, and maybe the North really is kind of the poster child for this, because, some real talented players up there. I'm on record as an Enzo Wolf fan, and of course, A-Rod, Alex Rodriguez up there, also super talented. And yeah, man, the poor North. First they lost Tyson Simpson, then they lost their coach, and then the wheels just came off the bus. And it is kind of a lost season for those kids in that way. So, I do think that there are kind of different sort of shades. And in some of these moves, I mean, I'm not going to name anybody by name because it'd almost be making an accusation, and I don't want to go that far, but it almost just sort of feels like, I don't know, shake things up. Just sort of try something new, and you are leaving things behind there. And what I will kind of end my little spiel here with is that, look, on the other complete opposite side of the coin, I think, and this is kind of what you're saying as far as like building a legacy too, Bob, is, look at what, let's take Assad Drayton, for instance, Beast of the East, some of our, now let's just stick with him for a second. I mean, I think he's got somebody who is committed to being with that program. I think he's kind of given out that vibe. He did just become the new chairman of the SimWorld Hoops Coaching Association, clearly kind of planting his roots that way. And I think that also means something in terms of recruits, kind of knowing that you're getting in a more solid situation, whereas you jump over to a team that, maybe has had 3 coaches in 2 seasons, or the coach right now has been on 3 different teams before he's gotten right there. And it's, maybe if you're 16 years old, it's like, this guy going to be here in 2 years? Or gal, I should say. Don't want to don't want to overlook that. But so I think not only is it sort of on a kind of karmic or moral plane, but there's a real world impact that this all has too. And I think that's where you're going to see it particularly, and we're going to see it more as we pile more seasons under the SimWorld belt here, come around SimWorld season 5 or 6. I think kids are going to be looking, oh, wait a minute, has this guy been here for a little while, or does he jump at the next interesting opportunity?
Yeah, you bringing up like the future, like a few years down the road, what'll be really interesting is whenever all of these coaching positions have fully invested coaches. If somebody is unhappy with where they are, they're not going to be able to do anything about it. You're either going to have to just walk away from SimWorld Prep, or you're going to have to deal with it and figure it out with what you have. And you got to put your recruiting hat on. You got to get out there and reach out to these kids and try and prove to them that there's a reason that they should commit to you. If you're struggling with getting recruits, commitments from players, or just overall any kind of success, and that's not saying wins and losses are not, again, that's far from the main thing that we're worried about here. At this particular level at SimWorld Prep, our number one goal I'm talking like I'm a coach. The number one goal for these coaches should be, how can I get this player in the best position to go to one of these big schools where, hey, kids can make money off of themselves now. There's NIL deals out there. They can go to the G League if they've shown enough shown enough on the court, or even going overseas and playing for, I don't know, China or something, where they can again begin making money right away. There's just, I think too many coaches are focused on the wins and losses and not, how can I make this kid better for the future, and so that he can be set up for the future, whether it be financially or help this kid who was struggling. I'll use with the news today that Adam Max has stepped away. He was suspended for 10 games of the season, and the first 10 games of last season, and that was a lot to do with how he came off to everybody, coaches, players, the media. That 10-game suspension, he came back. That was a completely different kid. You would have never why, if you didn't know beforehand, why was this kid suspended for 10 games? He seemed like a model player at that point. And that's what that's one of the things that we need to try to instill in these kids is you gotta just get on the court and play. Get on the court, show what you can do, and I will do what I need to do to get you to the best place at the next level. And I feel like some coaches, their mindset is, again, always on that wins and losses. Yeah, would anybody love to win championship after championship after championship? Absolutely. But if the kids aren't doing anything, if these kids are leaving your program and they're not being successful because they're still doing whatever they're doing off the court, or they're just not able to function as a teammate. I will use a local team here, a local high school football team. I won't name it or anything, but they are extremely good. They win. If they don't win a state championship every other year, something is wrong. But I never hear about these players going on to a good college, or any of these players making it to the NFL or making a positive impact. It's not a great area. And these coaches, all they're worried about is, let me get that next state championship. And it's really, really hurting the kids. And I don't want any of these coaches here to historically become a coach who, you come to my team, we're going to win a championship, but then I don't care about you when you leave.
Right. Yeah. Nope. That's right. And hey, I always, I'm going to go on record again. I mentioned my Enzo Wolf love earlier. I'll come back with a little bit more recorded love. I think everybody knows how I feel about Coach Dodge. She got my Coach of the Year vote for this year as well. Maybe she is the shining example, the exemplar of somebody, who I feel like has developed players, is definitely involved with their team, puts a good product out on the floor, and, seems really committed to building up, kind of her reputation, her legacy, her presence, where she is. And again, it's truly the case where we're not going to know some of the answers and some of the ways that this all works out for a few years. It's going to be a few more seasons before this really kind of, makes the big impacts that we're talking about down the line. But, we'll see, we'll go to the scoreboard. We'll add things up here, a few more seasons under our belt, and we'll see if it is the carpetbaggers that have done better, or if it is the nesters, let's call them, who come out on top. But I think that you and I are of a like mind on this one, Bob, where I think we're both expecting those who really kind of commit to be the ones who in the long run who are going to come out winning this thing.
Absolutely. I'll be honest, I didn't really play organized sports or anything until my sophomore year of high school. I never had any coaching changes. But so I don't have any negative a coach left and I really liked them or something, and that didn't have any kind of effect on me. Did you ever have anything growing up? I know you talk about sports a lot and how you play and all that. And
I played in this. I mean, I with a coaching change, no, not necessarily, and nothing either dramatic or made a huge positive or negative influence with me in terms of a coach coming or going. But maybe I'll close the segment today, Bob, on a little Elava story. And I'll take you back to actually what is one of the greatest sports memories of my lifetime in terms of something I was actually involved in. And the reason why it comes to mind and why I bring it up is because, situations, we understand players want to move out of them and move away. Like Heartland Zombie Stars just had a terrible season, no doubt about it. Kids are, even that sinking ship.
Yeah.
Sometimes you shouldn't. And that applies to coaches too and everything. And let me tell you my quick Elava story, which I'll things back to, I'm older than some of you out there listening. So don't think like 20 years ago. Think like closer to 40 when I was a kid. But I was on a T-ball team. One of the first team sports things I ever did in my life. I was on this T-ball team. You would think, how much difference can there be between a good T-ball team, in quotes, and a bad one? It's just all little kids running around, don't know what they're doing. I am here to tell you there can be a huge gulf in T-ball quality. My T-ball team, and again, I was so young, and I don't even have really good memories of being young, but I remember all the details of this. We're in a 8-team league. So the other 7 teams, you played them 3 times apiece, and that was your season, 21 games. At the end of the regular season, My team was 0 wins and 21 losses.
Nice.
And there was only a game or two where we were even within like 5 or 6 runs of somebody. Like our average score was 13-1 or 15-2. Like we just couldn't score, first of all. And then teams would just run things up on us. Anyway, by the way, for the record, little 7 or 8, 6-year-old, however old I was, Eric, was actually one of the better players on my team.
Nice.
One kid from each team had to go to the T-ball all-star team, and I was our team's nominee. I would have been average on any other team, but on my team, I was one of the leaders. Anyway, we're 0-21, but like I told you, 8-team league, and everybody makes the postseason. So we're in the postseason, we're in the playoffs, but we get the number 1 seed. We get the top finishing team in our competition. 1 seed versus the 8 seed. And these guys might have as well have been St. Louis Cardinals compared to us. I mean, they could and should have just destroyed us. But we got to our playoff game with them, and it's a single game elimination. And I remember the final score. We won the damn game. We beat them 4-3. I don't know how. We shouldn't have. There's absolutely no way. But we went crazy. It was like the biggest, best thing ever. And literally, when we lost our next game too. We were knocked out of the playoffs. The next game, we were like regular service reserve. We got like 18-0 or something. But finished that year, 1 win, 22 losses, and it is one of the greatest sports memories of my lifetime. And what I guess the point I'm trying to make, besides sharing my story, is that out of adversity, great things can come. And meaningful things and things that stick you with you, maybe even change you, who knows what, for life. And for both these players and these coaches out there moving around, I would just throw out a little advice, which is, grass always seems greener, right?
Mm-hmm.
Take a second.
Yep.
Get your feet on the ground, really think about things for a minute, and really decide, is it worth leaving? Because until you get on that side of the lawn. And then sometimes it looks different.
Yeah,
so
I'll
leave it there, Bob.
I've done it with jobs. I've left a job thinking it was better, and then I end up back at the same place because it wasn't.
Yeah.
So basically, what you're saying is your T-ball team was the ground zero equivalent, the ground zero season equivalent of Raining Trays / Seattle.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah, basically that's right. That's right.
Well, E, I appreciate you as always. I know it's a little more of a serious episode. We try not to be too serious on here, but is there any final words for the people?
Oh, other than, football's back. This is coming out this afternoon. Games will be well underway, so I know everybody's going to be enjoying that. Hey, get your football fix in because SimWorld's next season is going to be coming soon, and you're going to want to be devoting all your attention to that.
Yeah, absolutely. School Vikings, school! All right, everybody. Well, I appreciate you all listening as always. E, I appreciate you being on here as always, and I hope everybody has a great rest of their weekend.
Remember, folks, 4 o'clock Eastern is the new drop time every Sunday, 4 o'clock. So thank you for being with us, and make sure to be with us next week and all the weeks to come, too.
Skol Vikings!